This show is a collaboration. Erik and I do the writing, Ali does the production, and in the background, a whole group of humans help fact check, get us posted in all the places, and maintain our Discord servers. We're a team. And when I plan out episodes, I check in with the appropriate folks to make sure they're down with what I have in mind. Today, that meant reaching out to Ali and saying, "Are we up for a climate change episode or nah?" Our team figured out a few seasons ago that regularly reporting on climate change is bad for our mental health. So we throw all info into a climate change prison card on our Trello board. And the stories only come out for a very special all climate, all change episode each season. Well, Ali said, let's do it. And we're doing it. We're ripping the band aid off that part of us that gets hurt every time we look at what's happening to our planet and will continue to happen in our lifetime. As we'll discuss, our world has seen a lot of temperature fluctuations over the millennia. Some have been due to orbital variance, some have been due to the regular feedback cycles that can happen on a world with atmospheric gas changing flora and fauna. And of course, there's all the anthropogenic change that is happening today. In this episode, we follow the water and look to understand how it got here, how it has flowed and froze and melted again over time, and how researchers get the data they need to understand our past, present, and possible future. I am Dr. Pamela Gay, a senior scientist at the Planetary Science Institute, and you are watching Escape Velocity Space News, an independent science news show supported through Patreon. As we look out across our galaxy, we are finding more and more worlds, both fully developed in aged systems like our own, and also in the process of forming as they orbit still young stars. This is new science, with the discovery of alien rocky worlds only happening in this century. All this data is forcing us to rethink everything we once thought we knew about planet formation based on our sample size of one solar system, our solar system. We have to figure out how to understand our world now in the context of over 6,000 planets we now know about. The most common planet seems to be the sub-Neptune or super-Earth rocky worlds that have dense hydrogen atmospheres. Their larger than Earth mass lets them hold on to their gas very effectively, at least for a while. This creates a situation where a still molten planet has magma oceans interacting with hydrogen gas. Over time, vast amounts of hydrogen can get stored in the magma, and then it combines with oxygen in iron oxide minerals, melted iron oxide minerals, to form water. This physics can occur on worlds as small as our own and raises the possibility that our planet's oceans are in part derived from that early hydrogen rich period in Earth's history. And there may still be water deep in our world. According to Francesca Miazzosi, quote, our rapidly increasing knowledge about the vast diversity of exoplanets has enabled us to envision new details about the earliest stages of rocky planet formation and evolution. This opened the door to considering a new source of planetary water supplies, a long debated mystery among Earth and planetary scientists. End quote. In a new paper in Nature led by Miozzi, researchers discuss laboratory results demonstrating how this process can happen at extreme pressures and temperatures. It may be that our world's oceans don't match the chemistry of comets or asteroids because their water is, in part, uniquely our own. Over time, the chemistry of our world changes. Exactly how is locked away in ancient sediments and ice, and the layers of material they contain. Finding truly ancient samples is challenging because they are often extremely deep. Often, however, is not always. In the Allen Hills region of Antarctica, dry winds whip across fresh snowfall, and the extreme cold and sloping terrain bring the glacier to a near standstill. The combination means new ice isn't being layered on as we find in other places, and ice from the deep past is near the surface. In a new publication in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, researchers led by Sarah Shackleton present results from a new ice core that dates back 6 million years. The ratio of stable argon 40 to the radioactive argon 39 in air pockets in the ice allows direct dating of the samples. By combining ice samples from many different epochs in the Earth's history, we can piece together the story of how our world has changed. 6 million years ago, for instance, our world was temporarily much warmer with significantly higher sea levels than today. Their research, which is only just beginning, has already revealed that in the intervening eons, Antarctica gradually cooled by 12 degrees Celsius or 22 degrees Fahrenheit. According to Shackleton, quote, ice cores are like time machines that let scientists take a look at what our planet was like in the past. The Allen Hills cores help us travel much further back than we imagined possible. End quote. And if you're wondering if there is any relationship between Sarah Shackleton and the explorer Ernest Shackleton, who lost his expedition to Antarctica in 1917, they are indeed distant cousins. We live in a time of rapid planetary change. Adults in our audience have seen many glaciers disappear, significant changes in weather patterns, and radical changes in where different plants and animals can and can't survive. Our planet has seen these kinds of changes before, and as we work to prepare our civilization, and most especially our economy and supply chains, for these changes, we can look to the geological past to understand our future. One of our biggest needs is precise mapping of anticipated sea level rise, and this isn't as simple as saying, if so many million gallons of water and so many degrees of heat get added to the ocean, sea level will rise by this many centimeters. The gravitational pull of ice can draw water to it, and the withdrawal of ice can cause land to rebound as weight melts away. This has the weird effect of raising land, admittedly slowly, and lowering water levels as the gravitational pull of the ice goes away. To understand all the physics at play, researchers look to the end of the last ice age and work to match their models to the measurements locked in the sedimentary layers. Roughly 14.5 thousand years ago, at the end of the last ice age, sea levels rose roughly 20 meters or 65 feet in just 500 years. As food for thought, the city of London is just 10 to 20 meters above sea level. Our world isn't looking at that kind of sea level rise. We aren't coming out of a major glacial period. But studying that epoch allows us to know what to expect today. As each major body of ice melts, a characteristic rise and fall of land and water is recorded in the landscape in the form of fossilized corals and other materials specific to given depths of water or lack of water. By looking at when different fingerprints appeared, they can reconstruct the order of melting and see how the loss of a glacier or glaciers in one place triggers melting in other places. According to researcher Ali Conan, quote, we see a distinct interhemispheric pattern of melting associated with this catastrophic sea level rise in the past. That tells us that there's some sort of mechanism that is responsible for linking these ice sheets across hemispheres. And that's important for how we understand the stability of the Greenland and West Arctic ice sheets today. End quote. Conan is first author on a paper that appears in Nature Geosciences. Using new models that consider how the landscapes can rebound both elastically like a trampoline and viscously like putty, Conan and her collaborators have constructed one of the best matches to paleo sea level data to date. using the same physics to model current ice indicates that Greenland's rapid melting may influence what is happening with the Antarctic ice sheet. For better or worse, this is research that could predict changes to our world that the youth of today will see in their old age. After a break, we'll be back to look at what modern data tells us about our changing planet. Stay tuned. There are a lot of different effects that all feed into global climate change. Understanding how a small effect in one place can cascade into world changing impacts elsewhere is the never ending task of modern climate scientists, including those who study surface water in all its different locations. Scientific consensus links human generated greenhouse gases and landscape changes to observed increases in global temperatures and rising sea levels. The impacts of industrialization not only directly affect our world, they also trigger secondary issues that we're still trying to understand. To first order, ice melts. And without ice, sunlight isn't reflected the same way, and instead, ocean waters warm. And ocean water can flow and mix in ways ice just doesn't. It's kind of a solid and such. This means that warmed water can mix, spreading energy, nutrients, small animals and their eggs, as well as pollution. In the northern Arctic Ocean, this mixing, called mesoscale horizontal stirrings, receives mechanical energy from driving winds that both increase ocean flow and upper level ocean eddies. While the Arctic Ocean is icy water surrounded by continents, Antarctic waters surround an icy continent that influences the sea in very different ways. In the south, we see melting glacier water, fresh water, changing the seawater density gradient, which increases water circulation and also increases eddy activity and the formation of mesoscale horizontal stirrings. According to researcher Li Junlu, quote, horizontal stirrings is a crucial factor for the fish larval transport across the ocean. For moderate values, this process connects populations and habitats geographically, increasing their genetic exchange. However, for increasing stirring in the future, larvae can be transported into unsuitable areas where they may not survive. End quote. Jun Yu is the corresponding author of a study appearing in Nature Climate Science. Humans aren't the only species changing our environment. In the oceans, we see growing regions that have been deoxygenated for a variety of reasons, including warmer water being less effective at holding dissolved gases. When warm surface water lacks oxygen, there is no way for oxygen to circulate to deeper waters. Excess nutrients, such as from dying algae blooms, can also trigger microbes to wildly consume oxygen. According to the Scripps Institution of Oceanography, there has been a 2% decrease in ocean oxygen content since the 1960s. Low oxygen water supports different forms of life, including microbes that create the greenhouse gas nitrous oxide, also known as laughing gas. Nitrous oxide emitted by oceans is a real source of climate pain. But the oceans aren't the only deoxygenated waters out there. The Black Sea is the largest basin of deoxygenated waters in the world. Weirdly, their waters aren't a major source of nitrous oxide, which implies either the microbes that produce the gas are missing or something else is there to consume the gas before it can escape into the atmosphere. In the Black Sea, oxygenated water fills the surface 150 meters, while oxygen-poor water is found from 150 meters down to its floor at 2,000 meters or more depths. According to research appearing in Limnology and Oceanography led by Jan N. van Ark, there is a biologic filter in the oxygenated water that is scrubbing the nitrous oxide from the water. Van Arks explains, quote, various microorganisms produce lots of nitrous oxide through different processes. However, this production was outpaced by nitrous oxide reduction, i.e., the conversion of nitrous oxide to molecular nitrogen by a different type of microorganism. Therefore, the small emissions of nitrous oxide from the Black Sea are likely the result of little but persistent production in the oxygenated waters where it's managed to escape consumption. End quote. The team hopes that their work can allow some kind of a response to marine nitrous oxide production that will limit release of this greenhouse gas. Life has a nasty habit of finding ways to do things we really wish it wouldn't. In the mountains of Ecuador, researchers led by Caradwan Whitemore found that small ponds are capable of outsized greenhouse gas emissions in the form of carbon dioxide and methane. The interplay of elevation, water temperature, and the flow of nutrients from surrounding land all affect what life can thrive in the water. And when it comes to pond water, it doesn't take a lot for life to find a way to get in on the stinky gas production. Unfortunately, models have until now largely ignored these small bodies of water. According to study principal investigator Diego Ramirez Enigru, these areas have long been blind spots in global climate models. By uncovering what drives carbon emissions in these remote, high elevation ecosystems, we are filling a major gap in global climate science. This knowledge helps us refine climate models and better understand how tropical mountain landscapes influence Earth's carbon balance. End quote. There are a lot of factors about climate change that we don't think would be significant or that we simply lacked the creativity to anticipate. One of the things that haunts me about this problem is the majority of the factors that we're learning about, they're all accelerating the rate of heating. As I write this on November 12th, I just caught news that Iceland considers the possible Atlantic current collapse a matter of national security. This designation frees up resources for them to worst case scenarios in which Iceland sees cold temperatures that would make even the hardiest ice giants of Viking lore reach for a blanket. As our world's average temperatures go up, we're going to become a planet of extremes, with periods of extreme cold in some places and unbelievable melting in others. That melting is actually already happening. Hectora Glacier on the Antarctic Peninsula was observed to retreat, which is a fancy word for melt, 25 kilometers of its marine terminating end between January 2022 and March 2023. During one 2-month period, November-December 2022, the glacier lost 8 kilometers. Data on this event are published in Nature Geoscience with lead author Naomi Ochwat. According to researcher Adrian Luckman, quote, "Glaciers don't usually retreat this fast. The circumstances may be a little particular, but this scale of ice loss shows what may happen elsewhere in Antarctica. This is the latest chapter in a sequence of events which started with the collapse of the Larsen B ice shelf 23 years ago, marking a landscape-changing event that offers insights into the potential future rates of glacier retreat elsewhere in Antarctica." This idea is expanded on by Ted Scambos, quote, "This kind of lightning-fast retreat really changes what's possible for other larger glaciers on the continent. If the same conditions are set up in some of the other areas, it could greatly speed up sea level rise from the continent." End quote. We live in a changing world, and our civilization will need to change to thrive in the face of whatever comes next. But that's a topic for a politics show. All I can do is say the science of melting glaciers is terrifying and awesome in the original definition of that word. In our next segment, we bring you tales from the launch pad. Stay tuned. It's now time for this week's Tales from the launch pad. Earlier this month, the Chinese Space Agency reported that the Shenzhou 20 spacecraft docked to the Tiangong space station had been hit by space debris, and they would need to do a risk analysis to determine if it was safe for the crew to return on it. They have now decided to return the crew on the Shenzhou 20 on the Shenzhou 21 spacecraft, which was safely done on the morning of November 14th. The Shenzhou 20 spacecraft will remain docked for experiments. The spacecraft originally assigned to Shenzhou 22 will now be launched uncrewed and will return the crew of Shenzhou 21 at the end of their nominal mission. While there was much bad news from China, there was one piece of light. We'll have more on it in the next episode, but briefly, the second New Glenn launch carrying NASA's escapade to Mars was completely successful. The first stage booster landing was also successful. Other than that, it was a pretty quiet launch week. We keep track of orbital launches by launch site, also called spaceport. According to rocketlaunch.live, so far this year, the United States has had 158 launches, China has had 73 launches, New Zealand has had 14 launches, Russia has had 8 launches, Fresh Guiana, Kazakhstan have each had 5 launches, India has had 4 launches, Japan has had 3 launches, Australia, Israel, Norway have each had 1 launch, and this makes the total number of launches so far this year 273. Finally, there are just 9 toilets in space now. Of those 173 launches, there have been 10 failures, reminding us space is hard. We like to use this last story of the episode to bring you news that is fun or silly, or will just bring a smile to your face. This week, I'd like to assure you that we humans don't have the ability to destroy our planet, but our sun does. And we have evidence of other stars that have already participated in planetary destruction. Part of a star like our sun's evolution is a change in size. About 5 billion years from now, our sun will bloat out in size and become a red giant, and then slowly shrink down a bit. In a new paper in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society, researchers Edward Bryant and Vincent Van Allen believe they have found evidence of evolved stars destroying their worlds. According to their abstract, quote, "We show that the giant planet occurrence rate decreases with increasing stellar evolution stage, with a larger occurrence rate decrease observed for shorter period planets. Our results are clear evidence that the population of short period giant planets," just to step out, that means the ones closest to their sun, "the population of short period giant planets is being sculpted by the evolution of the host stars. And we conclude that this most likely means the destruction of these giant planets." End quote. The Earth will survive whatever we do to it. It's the sun that just might destroy us one day. Good night, everyone. And remember to go out and look up. Oh, and please give this video a like and subscribe so the algorithm tells you in the world when new science is ready to be learned.